Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic story part 1. The fanfic title is What If Sasuke Met the 4th Hokage's Secret Son After the Uchiha Massacre. If you like this fanfic, don't forget to subscribe my channel. Now let's start the fanfics. Uchiha Sasuke stood as the rain soaked him. He looked at the headstones of his entire clan. It had been a week since the day known as the Uchiha Massacre. In one night, the eldest son of the clan's leader slaughtered the entire clan with the exception of him. He was spared due to his weakness. It is what his brother said to him. He left him, finding him unworthy to kill. After a while, Sasuke turned away from the site. It would be a while before he ever returned. Sasuke made his way through the streets. He ignored the looks of pity that he would get. He did not need their pity. He did not need anyone. As he continued on his way, he heard something that caught his attention. The eldest son of our Yondaime has retired. One female asked another. Apparently, my friend is the Hokage's assistant. She told me that he and Sandaime had a terrible argument. He practically ripped the hinges off his door. He then called him a failure as he left. The other female answered, "Do you think he blames the Sandaime for what happened to the Uchiha? I knew that he was a member of the police force." That surprised Sasuke. Maybe, but that is some kind of reaction to have, insulting the Hokage like that. Maybe he was ashamed that he was not here to stop Itachi. We all know that out of everyone in the village, he was Itachi's equal. Do you remember the Chunin exams in Iowa? Shish, we are to never speak that name anymore. What if the survivor hears you? Was the harsh whisper. Sasuke turned away and quickly ran toward the Hokage monument. He ran in that direction because he knew that is where the Namikaze family lived. He only remembered because that is where he was for his sister's birthday party. He also remembered that his mother was friends with the Yondaime's wife, which was his mother. It was this man that he needed to see, now. It took Sasuke 10 minutes of hard running before he reached the door. He banged on it furiously, hoping someone answered. The door opened to reveal a 13-year-old teen. He had spiky blonde hair and blue eyes. He wore a standard Konoha top with orange pants. The blonde blinked in surprise to see who it was. "You're Sasuke, right?" he asked. "Are you Namikaze Naruto?" Sasuke asked in a rush. "I am." Sasuke dropped to his knees and bowed at his feet, tears dropping from his eyes. "Please, please, help me to get my revenge," Sasuke exclaimed. Naruto looked at the boy with eyes of sadness. Why Hiruzen did not end Danzo's life, he would never know. In his mind, Danzo was a cancer that would spread if he wasn't cut away. Naruto saw him as a hypocrite and a liar. He talked about doing everything for Konoha, but it was all for him. He was no patriot in his mind. Naruto didn't feel like training anymore and left to get some ramen. Hiruzen looked out the window of his office. He watched as everyone went about their day. It was peaceful and joyous. They would never know what he did to keep that peace. A week ago, he made such a decision. It hurt him deeply, but it had to be done. It was what he told himself, but it was all a lie. It was a lie because he allowed it to happen. He may not have ordered it, but it happened under his watch. These were the words of his successor's son. A knock interrupted his thoughts. "Enter," Hiruzen said. His door opened and in entered 3 people. When he saw who it was, he was not happy. "What can I do for you 3 today?" The 3, knowing the Hokage since childhood, noticed the icy tone he used. They ignored it but were cautious of what might happen if they push him. "We wanted to know about young Namikaze's plans. We know that he is making his way to the capital and will be under Toshiyuku-sama's command. Do you know anything about what he would be doing?" The lone female asked. This female was Uchiha Kaharu. "I have no idea. We are not on speaking terms." Hiruzen said. "Can you speak to his mother then?" The elder man asked. His name was Mitokado Homura. "We would like to know just what his role is going to be." "You can do that yourselves. I have no idea what Naruto would be doing and I am curious as to why you even care." That's when the man with one arm and bandages covering half of his face stepped forward. This was Shimura Danzo. The actions made of the night of the Uchiha massacre were the right decision. Do not question it and do not focus on what the boy did. His solution would not have made it better. He said, "So you say. However, I know that the only reason you do not believe that is because what the Uchiha would have gained and what we would have lost. It believed that everyone would have gotten what they wanted and Naruto figured it out. The only reason that you are scared is because he was able to pull it off. Would it have interfered with your plans?" Hiruzen asked mockingly. What the Uchiha was planning was treasonous. They had to be dealt with. Not rewarded, Itachi did his duty. Danzo argued, and all it cost was the childhood of his brother. At least with Naruto's deal, bridges could have been mended. All you can see is your own agendas. Hiruzen spat. The room feels silent at that. Hiruzen recomposed himself before taking a seat behind his desk. Now, if you will excuse me, I have work to do. You may see your way out. The elders were not happy, especially Danzo. They all turned and walked out of the Hokage's office. Naruto laughed as the Heimaru Senkyodai piled all over him, much to the ire of their owner, Inuzuka Hana. The two Chunin never seemed to get along, even as teammates. If you asked Naruto, Hana was jealous of his awesomeness. If you asked Hana, Naruto was an entitled brat. If you asked anyone else, they were just flirting with each other. Don't you have to be on your way? Hana demanded. Geez, what's up your butt? You still made that they like me instead of attacking me. What can I say? I'm just that lovable. Naruto boasted. Please, you wouldn't know what love is if it bit you in the ass. Hana stated. Right, I'm not lovable like you're not a tsundere. Naruto said mockingly. Fury erupted in her eyes. I've told you a dozen damn times that I am not a tsundere. Hana roared. Watching the argument, Kushina and Inuzuka Sume, mothers and best friends, were all smiles. I swear, only your pup can rile her up like that. She might have softer features but she's an Inuzuka. Sume joked. Were we ever this bad? I don't remember us being this bad. Kushina said. Well, one of us would have thrown a punch by. Sume was cut off when Hana punched Naruto in the jaw. Huh, it is just like us. Sume said with a smirk. Kushina giggled before moving to save her son. Naruto, you should get going. She said, cutting in, stopping whatever he was planning. Naruto glared at Hana but ignored her in the pain to focus on his mother. The two embraced each other for a while before they pulled away. Do your best and come back in one piece. Also, contact me every chance you get or I am coming to find you. Kushina warned him. Okay, I promise. Don't worry, 2 years are going to fly by and I'll be back in no time. Naruto said with a smile. He then turned to Hana. Maybe you'll be more ladylike and less tsundere. You son of a bitch. Hana shouted and threw a punch. Naruto dodged, flipping over her and taking off out the gates. Hana noticed something on her shoulder before it exploded, covering her face in orange paint. This made her scream and take off after him. Oh yeah, just like us. Sume said through her laughter. Kushina and the bystanders were laughing as well. Watching from her hiding spot, Naruko watched with some sadness. She quickly forgot about that and went to do her own training. Just sighed. A young girl walked towards her home after the academy. Her blue eyes kept forward because if she looked at any of the villagers, she would get their dirty looks. She didn't really care what they thought about her anymore. In her mind, they should all be thanking her for keeping their fear at bay. They should also be thankful because she was the daughter of the Yondaime Hokage. She was Namikaze Naruko, the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. The red-haired 10-year-old was wearing a short-sleeved, dark blue kimono-like blouse with a dark embroidered border, held closed with a black obi, a dark blue short skirt and black stockings that stopped at her thighs. She just continued on to her home, ignoring everyone's gaze. As she arrived home, she entered the home and noticed a pack she never seen before. She also heard her mother talking with someone. She made her way toward the kitchen where she saw someone talking to her mother. Naruto? Naruko asked. The older teen looked at her and gave her a small smile. Well, it looks like you grew a little since I've been gone. Naruto said. Naruko walked up to the two. When did you get back from the capital? Naruko asked. Got back today. I went to visit mom at the academy. We talked, ate lunch and I waited for her so that we could walk home. Naruto answered. And neither of you waited for me? Naruko asked with a tone. Naruto just sighed while Kushina gave her daughter a disapproving look. Considering the fact that I have attempted to walk home with you on several occasions and you have disregarded me, you have no room to complain. If you want me to be honest, I thought you meet with your Oji after class like always. Kushina explained with a hard edge. Naruko had the decency to look ashamed at that. Naruto just sighed and stood up. I'm going to home to get some sleep. I'll visit the old man tomorrow. Naruto said and began to make his exit. Hey, wait a minute, you're just going to go home and not even talk to me? Naruko asked. Yes, and I'll tell you why. 1. I am tired and I need to just pass out on my bed. 2. I know that you will just nag me about teaching you my move. No doubt you, Oji, gave you a bingo book and you read my profile. The final reason, I'm not in the mood to argue with you or speak with you after what I heard. Naruto explained. With that said, Naruto walked out of the house and closed the door. Naruko turned to look at her mother and just saw her disappointed look before she got up to make dinner. Naruko huffed in annoyance before making her way to her room. She had practice to get to. Naruto opened the door to his place and turned on the lights. He saw that his place was cleaned and mentally thanked his mother. He made his way to his bed and fell onto it. He let out a groan of relief as he got comfortable. He laid there for a while before he turned to look at his nightstand. He had a couple of pictures on it that made him smile. There were a lot of them, memories that he didn't want to forget. From his birth to his time in the military police, there were just so many happy memories. There were also sad ones as friends that he lost were also on his nightstand. He turned away from the pictures and looked up at the ceiling. Naruto was just thinking about what was next for him. When he was a genin, he wanted to be like his father. When he joined up with the military police, he wanted to protect the villagers. When he was under the employ of Toshiyuku-sama, he wanted to protect Hi-no-Kuni. He had done those things, but now what was there for him to do now? He was not really an ambitious person. Unlike his parents, he had very lofty goals in life. He really just wanted to be a ninja, marry someone he loved, have some kids and teach them how to be ninja. Simple, but it was what he wanted out of life. Still, he wondered what he could do until that time. There was the Anbu, but that wasn't something he was interested in. He could reform the military police, but that just didn't feel right. With a sigh, Naruto just closed his eyes and allowed sleep to take him. As he waited for the bell, he heard a commotion at the top of the classroom. He recognized the voices as that loud mouth, Inuzuka Kiba, and an equally loud, Namikaze Naruko. Why would I care if my brother was at your home? Naruko demanded loudly. I know you don't care, stupid. I just wanted to know if you knew why. You're always stalking him because he doesn't pay you any mind. It's mostly your fault, but hey, that's for you to deal with. Kiba said mockingly. Naruko shot up in a rage. Shut up, mutt. I don't care what you think, and I don't care why my brother was at your family's home. He's probably getting recruits for the damn military police. She roared. That statement got everyone's attention, especially Sasuke. What are you taking about? Kiba asked. When he was a part of the military police, he always talked about getting your clan and Fat Boy's clan as members. I didn't care and didn't want to know about it, Naruko argued. However, the Fat Boy comment enraged Choji and she was suddenly attacked. Hearing the noise, Iruka came in to break it up. As he did, Sasuke was in deep thought about what was just said. Was Naruto trying to reform the military police? This needed some investigating. Naruto entered his backyard, a little exhausted for today's activities. After leaving the Hokage Tower, he went to the old building where the Konoha military police was. It was in rough shape, but he felt that he could get it up and running within the next few months. His other part of this actually went well. He had a meeting with both the Inuzuka and Akamichi clans. He showed them the plan that he was working on with Uchiha Fugaku before his death. The clans were both stunned by the plan and asked for an explanation. While in the military police, Naruto came to Fugaku and his high-ranking officers with an idea to heal the rift between the village and their clan. He suggested that they allow some other clans within the military police, showing that the Uchiha were willing to stand together with others. He suggested the Inuzuka and Akamichi for their skills but also for their relationship with the villagers. Fugaku was pleased when he told him that it would also tighten their bonds with those clans. Fugaku agreed with the suggestion and they worked out the details on paper, the paper he showed them today. The clans were surprised and interested. Each clan had put their stamp on the paper. Naruto was pleased and he couldn't wait to get started. Now, he just wanted to get some food in his stomach and then go and see if he could find his old teammates. However, he would not be getting the chance to do so. Naruto, a familiar voice exclaimed. Naruto let out a sigh before turning around to face his sister. She did not look happy. Do you have any idea what trouble you caused for me? Hello, sister. And how are you today? Naruto asked sarcastically. Naruko growled at him but didn't charge at him. Next time, speak privately about you plans. I had to deal with the Mud and Fat Boy asking me questions about why you were at their clans. Naruko ordered. I'm so sorry for your troubles. Naruto said mockingly. I'll be sure to keep my plans secret next time. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to make me some ramen. So what, you're not going to talk to your sister? Whatever mom told you about my behavior, she's totally blowing it out of proportion. She said, so you want to talk? What do we have to talk about? You never wrote any letters to me and even asked how I was doing. I know I did with you, at least every chance I got. What happened to those letters? Naruto asked. Naruko looked at her feet and refused to look at him. That's what I thought. I know that you and I haven't had the best of relationships, but at least I tried to heal the rift. There comes a time when it becomes useless to try. It is a two-way street, Naruko, not one. Naruko just balled her fist up in frustration. She wanted to shout but she couldn't. Everything Naruto told her, it was the truth. Not wanting him to see her shed tears, Naruko just bolted. Naruto sighed and ran his hand through his hair. He was really hoping to have an easy day today. Station. Naruto stated, you really cared for the Uchiha, huh? I remembered when I saw you with those stars on your uniform. You were so happy. Ayame said, yeah, and I'm going to do my part to honor them by reinstating their contribution to the village. Naruto said, well, I think you doing a good thing. I don't know if the last Uchiha would be happy though. Tenchi said. Ayame nodded in agreement at that statement. Naruto looked at him curiously. You think that he will object to what I am doing? He asked. The boy is nothing but anger. I can understand that he lost his clan, but it has not changed him for the better. He might not like the fact that someone else is leading something that his clan led. I would expect him to confront you at some point. Tenchi explained. This made the blonde chuckle. Let him come. He'll learn that I don't bend that easily. Naruto said. Naruto just ordered another bowl and continued to speak with his friends. Sasuke made his way toward the tower. He was not happy about what he just learned from one of those fangirls. The wannabe Kunoichi congratulated him about the military police being reinstated. Sasuke was very surprised by this and demanded the girl to explain herself. With a bit of fear, she explained what was happening and who was spearheading it. Sasuke stormed off to get to the bottom of this. Sasuke made his way toward the Hokage's office. He bypassed the receptionist and was about barge in when the Anbu stopped him. He glared at the two ninja and was about to say something when they stepped to the side. One of them opened the door that led him inside. Sasuke entered and walked up to Hiruzen's desk. The old Kage just looked at the anger that was on Sasuke's face. So, you learned of what is being planned. Is that why you have come here today, Sasuke? Hiruzen asked. So, it is true. You approved the reinstatement of the Uchiha Kimu Butai and gave them our building to Naruto Namikaze. Sasuke demanded angrily. Yes, I did. Naruto presented his proposal and made a very compelling case for its reinstatement. He paid for the building and has members ready to join. Myself and other members of this council agreed to support this. Hiruzen said calmly. How dare you do that? That was my clan's legacy. You had no right. Sasuke shouted. Careful, Sasuke. You are bordering on insubordination and you will watch your tone with me. Let me tell you two facts. The Kimu Butai was gifted to your clan by the Nadaime, second Hokage. It was never founded by your clan. Another and more important fact is this. Hiruzen said and pushed a document toward Sasuke. Sasuke snatched it off his desk and began to read. The more he did, the more surprised he got. No, this isn't true. Sasuke said to himself. I think not. That is your father's handwriting. Those are his words. Together with Naruto, he planned to integrate others onto the Kimu Butai before that horrible event that left you without a family. If you do not believe me, you can speak to Naruto. We are done here, Hiruzen said. Two Anbu appeared and Sasuke saw that they would remove him if he did not comply. With an angry huff, Sasuke tossed the document and stormed out of the office. He decided to listen to Hiruzen and confront Naruto. Naruto made his way into his house. After a successful meeting with the Konoha Council and his stomach full with ramen, Naruto decided to get a well-deserved nap. However, he would not get the chance. Namikaze, a voice shouted. Naruto turned to see Sasuke land in his backyard. Naruto could see that he was angry. It didn't take him long to figure out why he was here. Naruto just faced him with a neutral expression on his face. So, I guess that you heard the news. You got a problem with that? Naruto asked. You bet I've got a problem. I don't care about that document you created. That building is on Uchiha land and I have not given you permission to use it. Sasuke stated. This made Naruto scoff at him. That's a funny statement, kid. Naruto said, angering Sasuke. I don't need your permission, brat. You're not the head of the Uchiha. That belongs to him, and due to his actions, he has been removed as clan head. You might be the only Uchiha and next in line, but you aren't 18 and you aren't a Jonin. Also, your regent doesn't have a problem with me using the building. Instead of glaring at me, you need to talk to them. I'm talking to you. I will never allow you to use that building. It is the Uchiha Kimu Butai and that is how it will stay. Sasuke said, yeah, that's not going to happen. The Konoha Kimu Butai will be up and running in 2 months or so. You don't have to be there for it, but it will happen. Nothing is going to stop it, not even you. Naruto said. Sasuke growled and looked like he was about to attack. Naruto just raised an eyebrow at that. You really want to do this? Sasuke said nothing and dashed toward Naruto, prepared to fight. Unknown to either, two shadows watched with interest. One watched with interest while another watched to see Sasuke put into his place. This were definitely starting to get interesting. Knew about Naruto's benefactor and knew that he would never be able to get on that man's good side. He also knew how Naruto got that man to agree to this and wondered how he was able to even get that information. Danzo ignored it and decided to keep his mind on Naruto. What is your interest in Sasuke Uchiha? He asked. Sasuke, what about him? Naruto asked. Do not place coy with me, boy. You know what I'm talking about. You know what his overall goal in life is, don't you? If you mean his revenge against Itachi, then yes, I know about it. It doesn't concern me and I have no interest in him or Naruto. Why not your sister? She is family, is she not? You could be training her to do her duty. Her duty? Naruto asked with an edge in his voice. Danzo ignored the tone and continued. She is the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Yoko, nine-tailed demon fox. It is her duty to protect Konoha for its enemies. She is the tip of the blade and if needed, she will show why we are the strongest village in the elemental nations. Suddenly, Danzo felt the end of kunai to his throat. He opened his eye a little to see Naruto's blue eyes. He didn't show it, but he was a little surprised at the speed he just showed. He just looked at the boy who held his life. I'm going to let you know something and I will only say this once. If you ever hurt my sister, I don't care how it happens, I will rip your roots from the shadows and make sure that they never take hold again. Now, get out of here. Your presence disrespects the dead. Naruto said. Danzo decided to heed Naruto's words and left, merging with the shadows. Naruto just stood there for a while, calming himself down. He too left the building. Sasuke was sitting alone under a tree while his fangirls just watched him with love in their eyes. Sasuke ignored them like he always did. As he ate his lunch, a shadow fell over him. He looked up to see who it was and was instantly annoyed by who it was. Naruto had been attempting to rile him up for most of the day. It only confirmed what he assumed, and Naruto was there when he confronted Naruto. She was probably here to try to get him to react again, which so far, he ignored. Just going to ignore me all day, Sasuke? Naruto asked with a tone. Sasuke didn't answer and just kept eating his food. Naruto was starting to get annoyed with the boy in front of her. She wanted to rub into Sasuke for his loss, but he wasn't even taking her bait. It was starting to get to her and she wasn't about to take it anymore. As Sasuke was about to take another bite, Naruto knocked it out of his hand. The move surprised everyone and the whole yard watched with interest. Don't act like you're any better than me, Uchiha, Naruto exclaimed. Sasuke just narrowed his eyes at her. I don't care anything about you, Namikaze. Your ploy to rile me up has failed, so just leave me alone. At least have some dignity and walk away before you embarrass yourself any more than you have. Sasuke stated. Naruto was pissed and reared her fist back to hit him. As she was about to throw it forward, her wrist was caught by someone. When Naruto turned to yell at the person, she was shocked to see her mother. Kushina looked at Naruto with narrowed eyes. I would suggest that you listen to Mr. Uchiha. You have embarrassed yourself enough with your actions. For your punishment, you can scrub the halls of the building, all of them. Kushina said. Naruto was about to argue, but the glare she received made her think twice. Naruto snatched her wrist away and stormed off. Kushina watched as Naruto stormed off before turning to Sasuke. She made a motion for him to follow her. At first, he was going to ignore her, but he remembered just who this person was. He remembered the last person who was rude to her and he was still walking funny. He got up and followed the head mistress. They made their way to her office. After a few moments, they arrived at her office. She looked at her assistant. Inform Iruka that Sasuke will be late returning to his class. Kushina said. Yes, ma'am. The female said. Kushina led Sasuke inside and offered him a seat. She took her seat and faced him. So, you want to air your grievances about my children? I'll listen, but don't expect me to just agree with your attitude. I'll give you Naruko, however. She can be a handful. Kushina stated. I don't care about Naruko. She's just being petty, Sasuke said with a scoff. That's funny coming from the child that attacked my son with a fireball, she said. That got the reaction she expected when Sasuke narrowed his eyes at her. He had no right to take my clan's institution. We were the Uchiha Kimubutai and it should stay that way. Sasuke exclaimed. So Konoha should remain vulnerable from internal threats because a Uchiha isn't at the head of the Kimubutai. Sasuke sputtered at that. Kushina just sighed at Sasuke before pulling out something. She held out for Sasuke. He took what she was giving and looked at it. He was shocked to see the Uchiha symbol in the middle of a shuriken. It was the symbol that was above the entrance of the station. Sasuke looked shaken at what he was saying. These are the bands that everyone on the Kimubutai is going to wear. You think that my son is trying to take something from you, but you couldn't be more wrong. Naruto saw your clan as his second family. He was just as devastated and angry when that event happened. Hell, he could have been arrested for what he said to the Hokage Tower 2 years ago. Kushina explained. Sasuke just looked at Kushina with that still stunned look. Naruto is trying to honor your clan by restarting your family's legacy. The least you can do is respect that, Kushina said seriously. Sasuke had nothing to say and stayed silent. We're done. You have class to get to. Yes, Uzumaki-sensei, Sasuke said and began to leave when he remembered something. Sensei, do you have anything on a training exercise called Ryu no Kokyu? Kushina raised an eyebrow at that. She then smiled before grabbing a scroll from her shelf. She took it and tossed it to Sasuke. Good luck with that training. It took Makoto-chan 2 months to master that exercise. However, it will greatly improve your Kaden Jutsu, Kushina explained. Sasuke nodded and left. Kushina watched him leave. She hoped that her words meant something to him. Only time would tell. Room, how do you know about that? The village leader asked. Toshiyuku-sama's daughter loves history. It took us about a week to locate where those caches were. Kid's pretty smart. When we presented it to the daimyo, he had a great laugh and told her that it was already recovered. He was impressed though, gave a bit more projects to her just for fun. Naruto explained. If all of the gold has been found, why are they trying to drive the villagers out? Hana asked. Because that daimyo wasn't stupid. This area is on a map that he created, leading to false areas to the caches. Those bandits must have a copy of it, Naruto answered. If that's the case, they're not going to stop until they check that cave. We're going to have to hit them first. Hakui, does any other member of your team besides Hana have any combat training? Rado asked. Other than Hana, Io is our only other fighter. Hakui said. Alright then, myself and Richi will scout the camp. Hana, I need you to lead us there. Rado said. Hana nodded and the three headed out to do some recon. Sasuke was making his way home after a hard day of training. His progress with the Ryu no Kokyu was coming along as he was able to increase the output of his Kaden Jutsu. Sasuke was pleased and felt himself getting stronger. As he made his way through the streets, he was suddenly face to face with Naruko. The blonde was surprised to see him, but it quickly changed in annoyance. Sasuke was also annoyed with the blonde as she had become even more of a pain as usual. Well, look who has decided to grace the masses with his presence. Naruko said mockingly. I don't have time for this, Sasuke said and was about to move on when someone stepped out of the shadows. Sasuke was a bit surprised that he did not notice the person. The man looked at him with his lone eye as if he was studying him. Sasuke didn't like the look he was getting and narrowed his eyes at him. The old man noticed the small gleam in his eyes and was a bit concerned. He decided to turn his attention to Naruko. Naruko, let us depart. You have yet to master that jutsu, he said. Fine Danzo Oji, Naruko said. Sasuke watched as the two walked away. Sasuke watched them and couldn't help but wonder what was that about. It was as if that old man was studying him. He didn't know why, but it was upsetting. He never heard the name Danzo before, but he promised himself that he would keep his guard up should he come across him again. He continued on his way home. Meanwhile, Danzo was leading Naruko to the training grounds. However, he was curious about what he saw. That gleam in his eye. Was he about to activate his Sharingan? It couldn't be, he thought. He noticed the telltale signs of training, but what was he training in was a mystery. He would have to double his efforts to make sure that Naruto was ready. While Hiruzen may have faith in that boy, he did not. He knew that Sasuke would one day become an enemy of Konoha. His sword would need to be sharpened should that day come. Naruto had all his weapon laid out in front of him. He had a few shuriken and kunai. His ninjutsu he inspected to make sure that it would do the job that he was going to do tonight. Rado, Hana and Richi returned with the numbers of the camp, and it was about 20 strong. They were led by an old samurai who was getting desperate. It looked like they were gearing up for an morning attack on the town. Too bad they wouldn't get the chance. His attention was taken away when he heard the feet of 3 K9s. The 3 Heimaru brother entered the hut and walked up to him this time. Naruto smiled at the 3 and began to scratch behind their ears, which they all enjoyed. If you 3 are here, then your owner isn't far behind. Naruto said. You guessed right, Hana said and entered the room. She leaned on the doorway and looked on as Naruto acted with her partners. You know, I really get annoyed that they are receptive of you. What can I say, I'm lovable to all creatures. Naruto mocked, making Hana roll her eyes. Back in the academy, the two were considered rivals. Many thought that it would be him and Itachi, but neither one of them were trying to outdo the other. It was her that Naruto seemed to take joy in tormenting. She gave him as much as he gave her. Still, she knew that Naruto was stronger. With the pedigree of his dad, his mom and his godfather, it was no wonder he turned out to be as strong as he was. You're insufferable, that's what you are. Hana said, just like old times. Naruto joked. So, you chose the medical field. I thought for sure you would have joined the tracking teams or something. I considered it, but I got into taking care of the clan's hounds and I was good at it. It went through the medical course and aced it. Well, I'm glad you found your calling. What about you? Are you going to join the Anbu or are you going to run the Kimu Butai? I heard that you've spearheaded the revival of that. Neither one. The Anbu might have been an option, but after what I did those 2 years, I've kind of wanted to just do regular shinobi missions. Hana straightened up and gave Naruto a look. The blonde just chuckled at her. Don't worry, I'm all up there. I'm not about to pull an Itachi. Hana was about to say something but was interrupted by Rado. Guys, we're getting ready to move out. Get your gear ready, he ordered. Naruto quickly put his gear into his pouches and sheathed his ninjutsu. He stood up and made his way to meet up with the others. As he walked past Hana, the Inuzuka could only worry about the blonde. She wondered what he went through the 2 years in the capital. She had heard stories about his victories and the moniker that they gave him, but it seemed that something else happened. She would have to put it on hold for now. They had a mission to complete. Sasuke Uchiha continues his training and is rapidly improving. The strength of his Kaden fire release has grown, as has his other abilities since meeting with Namikaze 2 weeks ago. His attitude has also changed. The operative reported. In what way? Danzo demanded. It is as if he is no longer arrogant. During a spar, he defeated his opponent. Usually he would just ignore them and leave them on the ground, but he helped his opponent up to his feet. He also willingly used the Wakai no in seal of reconciliation rather than being told to. It has confused many. Danzo was thinking about what was just said to him. He wondered what was said between the boy and Naruto. It must have been something if it caused such a dramatic change in attitude. Keep watching the last Uchiha and report any other changes, Danzo said. The ninja nodded and vanished. Danzo turned his attention back to Naruto, but his mind was elsewhere. He did not know what this change meant, but he did not like it. Sasuke was eating his lunch, alone as usual. It had been 2 weeks since his talk with Naruto. He hadn't changed his opinion on revenge, but he would no longer let hate consume him. He was going to avenge his clan, and he was going to do it his way, not Itachi's. Naruto's words really got through to him, and he had been a fool to listen to his brother. He was only getting weaker, not stronger, and he refused to be his puppet any longer. He stopped focusing on learning powerful jutsu and worked on improving what he already knew. He still did the Ryu no Kokyu, dragon breathing exercise, and the leaf concentration practice to improve his chakra, plus his thoughts. He practiced his taijutsu and every technique that he already knew. He also started to look into learning new jutsu, other than Kaden. Even in the academy, he paid a bit more attention. It really surprised everyone. Sasuke was about to take another bite when someone caught his attention. He looked down to see a small white puppy. The two stared at each other for what seemed like minutes. Sasuke noticed that the puppy would take a glance at a piece of his chicken. He looked at the puppy, then at the chicken and back at the puppy. He gave him a neutral look before taking a piece of the chicken and tossing it. The puppy snapped it up in midair and happily ate it. You like that, huh? Dog boy not feeding you enough? Sasuke asked. The puppy just barked at him as if he was talking to him. Sasuke just scoffed before tossing him another piece of chicken. The puppy caught that piece too before trotting off. Sasuke ate the rest of his lunch in peace. After a while, the instructor told everyone to come in and Sasuke followed the class in when he stopped and looked around him. He narrowed his eyes as he did. Someone was watching him, he could feel it. Hey Sasuke, a voice called out. Sasuke turned to the voice to see Kiba Inuzuka with his puppy. Sasuke quickly turned back to search only to have that feeling disappear. Sasuke looked annoyed and made his way into the school, ignoring Kiba and his dog. Geez, what's wrong with him? Kiba asked annoyed. That's when he heard the puppy bark loudly. What's got you going, Akamaru? The puppy continued to bark, confusing Kiba. Ninja, what ninja? Sasuke was packing up his stuff when he was approached by Kiba again. He wondered what he wanted this time. If you're here to annoy me about your mutt, then you should feed him more. Sasuke said. Please, Akamaru gets fed. He's just greedy. You think you're the first guy he's begged to? Kiba said with a tone. Is there a reason for this? Sasuke demanded. And they think you've changed. Kiba scoffed. Anyway, what's with that ninja that was near where you were eating? You got a bodyguard or something now? Bodyguard? I don't have a bodyguard. Never had. Sasuke informed him. Kiba looked at him with confusion. You sure? Akamaru smelled someone he didn't recognize that was near you. I figured you knew about him. Kiba explained. Sasuke was immediately alarmed. His feeling was right on the money. He was being watched. Iruka Yumino noticed the two standing there and was curious. Hey you two, did you need something? He asked. When he saw the looks on the boys, he knew things were about to get very complicated. Are you seriously asking about my love life? You, Naruto asked. I'll have you know that the women flock to me whenever I'm in towns, he argued. They only flock to you because of the cash in your pocket. You could have a great woman with that Amazon you fought. What was her name again? He asked. Don't deflect boy, you won't get to change the subject. I'm only asking because you're going to become of age. Got to keep your eyes open for when that pretty thing passes by. Or, I'm going to stop you right there. You remember mom's warning should you mention the word harem. She will know and she will hurt you just like last time. Jiraiya pouted at that, making the blonde chuckle. They kept watch on the town for a while before Naruto spoke up. Hey, I have a question for you and I need you to be serious about this. Serious huh? Okay, what's the question? Jiraiya asked. It's about the last Uchiha. I have done what I can but I feel that I could do more. Naruto said. I heard about that. I have to give you all the praise for that kid. What he went through, I can't even imagine what that does to the mind. From what Sensei told me, he was on the road to being another Madara. You did a good thing by helping him away from that path of revenge. Jiraiya said. Don't praise me about that. He still wants revenge for the death of his clan and if I am being honest, he deserves to get it, the blonde said sternly. Jiraiya didn't comment as he knew how his godson felt about the death of the Uchiha. Anyway, you want to do more. In what way? Despite all I have done to begin the change, Sasuke is still a canvas that can be brushed. There are elements, internal and external, that will try to be the painter. I want Sasuke to be his own, so I need to do more. Jiraiya could understand where Naruto was coming from. That's a tough question and I don't have any advice that would help. If only the boy's ambition aligned with Konoha, things would be better. Jiraiya said. Naruto looked to be thinking when Jiraiya said that. His ambition aligning with Konoha. That is actually a good idea. Yeah, that might actually work. Naruto said softly. Jiraiya heard him but was confused. He waited for him to say something but he just went back to surveillance. That annoyed the man greatly as it was a trait that Minato did all the time. XXX. Sasuke took a breath before going through hand seals. He leaned back into a boulder and vanished. He moved around the boulder, holding his breath while he did. He would hold this technique for a while before disengaging it. Sasuke took a few breaths as he ended the jutsu. He was impressed with the jutsu he found among his father's and mother's things. That was interesting. A voice said. Sasuke turned toward the voice to see Naruto. He was walking up to him. The Doden, Iwagakure no Jutsu is not something I would expect you to learn. It was your mom's favorite jutsu to use on me when I was kid. Really? Sasuke asked. Did she ever tell you about the ghost of Konoha? An Oni mask-wearing specter that could travel through walls to take bad children? Naruto asked. Sasuke looked at him with surprise. Yeah, the ghost was your mother. She took that prank I did way too seriously. She knew that I hate ghosts. Naruto shivered at the memory while Sasuke looked amused. So, did you need me for something? Sasuke asked curiously. Not really. I've actually come with a few questions to ask you, too actually. Naruto said. Sasuke looked at the blonde and wondered what those questions were. The first question is if you're still plan on avenging your clan. Of course I am. I'm just going at it from a different view. Sasuke said. Don't worry, I'm not telling you to abandon it. The second question I want to ask you is if you know what a Oinin is. Sasuke was confused by that and shook his head. Well then, lucky for you I happen to be one and I would like to give you the opportunity to learn the craft of an Oinin to help you achieve your revenge. Naruto explained. Sasuke looked at him with stunned silence. XXX. Naruto sat in complete stillness. She ignored everything around her and just focused on her task. When she opened her eyes, he found herself in a large room that was covered in thorny vines. She hated the look of this place but she could do nothing about it. She just turned her attention to the cage in front of her. Hey Kyuubi, get out here. Naruto demanded. A large, negative feeling was felt. The chakra she was feeling was very oppressive and it was filled with malice. Two red eyes appeared and looked at the blonde girl. Ah, my dark princess, did you call? The deep, amused voice asked. Naruto just glared at the Kyuubi. Anbu, Kushina asked. I am but my last team are in high standing. Suki will become a full Jonin soon and Sanzo is a respected Chunin instructor. I was ready for another team, but they just fell short. I guess you can't produce a winner every time, Kushina-chan. Kakashi said with an eye smile. Ha, ha, so funny. Kushina said with a pout. So, what's with all the time Naruto is spending with Sasuke? I know that he was close with the Uchiha. Is he looking after him or something? The Jonin asked. That boy is as secretive as Minato was. He has a plan, but he won't share until he feels that it matters. It's such an annoying habit that they both share. She complained. Well, I trust Naruto and hopefully he has a plan. While the little change I saw in the kid is good, a lot of people have the same thoughts when it comes to Sasuke. Thoughts that would not have to be if people had patience. Either way, I will leave this to Naruto. He seems to have a handle on it. The topic changed into something more lighthearted. Naruto had listened in and she couldn't believe what she heard. She wondered what her brother was planning with Sasuke. She knew that Naruto wouldn't talk, neither would Sasuke. She would have to find out what was going on by herself. She walked upstairs to her room to get some sleep. Sasuke was eating his lunch while deep in though. He was thinking about his talk with Naruto yesterday. They didn't do any training, but Naruto went over what Sasuke was getting into. It was a lot of information that was dropped on him. He would ask questions, which Naruto was able to answer. He was even more interested in becoming an Oinin and would work hard to become one. Yo Sasuke. The last Uchiha turned when he saw Kiba with Akamaru on top of his head. The boy took a seat across from him as Akamaru jumped off his head and made his way over to Sasuke. The puppy sat in front of him, his tail wagging. Sasuke sighed before tossing the puppy a piece of his chicken. That made Kiba chuckle at him. This is just funny. You're totally whipped when it comes to him. Kiba joked. Maybe if you feed the guy, he wouldn't come begging me. Sasuke countered. Anyway, what do you want Kiba? Meh, I just figure that you could use some company. He answered. Why would you think that? Hey man, you're not the broody asshole that I remember. You're much more approachable than before. I can't speak to your fan club though. I don't envy you at all. Kiba said. You're telling me. Sasuke muttered. So, what's the deal with you and the Yondaime's fourth eldest? He trains you or something? Kiba asked. More like he's given me direction toward my goal. That's all I'm going to say about it. Sasuke stated. That's cool. I'm not going to pry but people are talking about it. I hear the gossip around the village when I'm taking Akamaru on walks. The funniest one was that he was training you to be Hokage. Kiba said with a laugh. Sasuke looked at him with raised eyebrows. You can't be serious, Sasuke said. Kiba just kept laughing while telling Sasuke about the gossip. Some of what he heard made him smirk. They continued to talk, ignoring the looks that they were getting. Sasuke's fan club were glaring at Kiba with rage at the fact that he was talking to their crush. They couldn't believe that he had the nerve to interrupt Sasuke's lunch. A few of the guys were wondering when the two became friends. Iruka could only look on in wonder but later smiled as Sasuke was not pushing Kiba away. It was a step in the right direction. Naruto stood before the graves of the Uchiha clan. He had not come here since the massacre. He could blame it on him being busy but that would just be an excuse. He just didn't want to see the field of headstones that did not need to be. He made his way through them until he came to the headstones he was looking for. They were the parents of Sasuke. "Hey Auntie Makoto, Fugaku Taiko, Captain. Sorry that I haven't been around. I just didn't know how this would go." Naruto said somberly. "I'm sorry that I couldn't get back sooner. You put your faith in me after our talk and I failed. I was too late to avoid this. However, I will not fail you a second time. I know that it seems that I am using Sasuke for the village's purposes, but I assure you that it is for the best. Sasuke will be the one to bring the Uchiha clan back to the light. I will do my best to keep him from the darkness that threatens to consume him. This I swear." The blonde bowed to the headstones before making his way out of the graveyard. He stepped out and sighed. He only hoped that he could keep this promise. He turned to walk away when someone was in his path. It was someone that he did not wish to see, and he wasn't alone this time. "Sister, Danzo, what can I do for you two today?" Naruto said. The bandaged man did not reveal his intentions like his sister did. "You and I need to talk." Duo when she noticed the looks that she was getting. They were not appreciative looks. A lot of them were looks of disgust. Naruto huffed and stormed off in the other direction. Naruto arrived at the spot for his meeting. He had about 5 minutes before meeting his contact. He indulged himself with the training ground. He had some fond memories of this place. This where he would watch his father and his students. His mom was also with him sometimes. Those were some fun moments. Fond memories. Naruto turned to see Kakashi. He gave him a smile. "Something like that. Most of my fond memories of dad are here. There's also mom's stories about when I was a baby. Something about baby vomit, which again, I'm sorry about that." The blonde-haired person said with a nervous chuckle. "Kushina needs to stop telling those stories. Anyway, I managed to get the commander on board with your request. You'll have to do it under guard though with members of my old team." Kakashi explained. "That's more than enough. Thanks, big brother," Naruto said. "Why can't Naruto be that adorable?" The Jonin joked. After a while, Kakashi's posture got serious. Naruto noticed this and wondered what was wrong. "Something on your mind?" Naruto asked. "I have to ask, what is the end goal is here?" "I'm simply curious. You have to know that there are those higher up would be watching." Kakashi asked. Naruto got a somber look on his face. 2 months before the massacre, I had a talk with Fugaku. We talked about the curse of the Uchiha, the Nikushimi no Noroi. He told me that the love and friendship in his clan is so great that when they lose that, it turns into hatred. I know that everyone can feel that type of hatred, but the way he spoke about, I couldn't help but see what he was talking about when I look at Sasuke. Understandable. He did lose his whole family and the one who did it was someone close to him. I would feel hatred too. The way Fugaku spoke about it, it's more than that. When it comes to the Uchiha clan, the hate that they experience is nothing I've ever witnessed. The way Taicho spoke about it, I can't allow Sasuke to go down that path. I owe his parents, his clan, to end this curse with him. I have to." Kakashi looked at the conviction in his sensei son's eyes. He could see that he was determined to see this through. He scoffed in amusement before giving him an eye smile and ruffling his hair. "Just don't be afraid to ask for help, kid," Kakashi said. "Thanks bro," Naruto said happily. The two got off the serious topic and started to talk about lighter things. The weekend came soon after. Naruto and Sasuke were picked up by Anbu members around midday. They were brought to a secret location that very few knew. They arrived at a room where 2 other Anbu were waiting. Sasuke was really confused and wondered what was going on here. "What is this?" he asked. "This is the start of training. You want to be an Oinin, you need to know who you're hunting. A family friend arranged this for me," Naruto explained and pointed to a file that was on a table. Sasuke made his way to the table and looked at the file. When he opened it and saw a familiar face, he was shocked. It's heavily redacted so you won't learn much. However, what you do learn will be enough. You have 5 minutes and that's all you'll get. I'll be outside." Naruto turned to leave when he stopped at the door. "Learn well, Sasuke. After this, the training will begin, and you will find me to be much harder supervisor than Iruka. With that, Naruto left the room. Left alone with the two Anbu, Sasuke took a seat and put all his focus on the file. This was the start of his ambition, the start of his goals. He would do as his sensei said and learn what he could. So, he has ignored my warnings? Danzo asked. Yes, he has. After leaving the Anbu base, he took him to one of the training grounds and began to train. That is all, a masked ninja reported. Very well, Danzo said, and the ninja vanished. Danzo was not pleased by what his agent reported, but he should have seen it coming. That boy was just as stubborn as his mother. However, he was also like his father. He would admit he could never get a read of Minato Namikaze when he was Hokage. The man revealed little when the two would meet. Naruto was the same. Still, I must learn what he is planning with Sasuke. However, I must step back and watch for now. Danzo said to himself. He hated it, but he had no choice. Lucky for him, he also had an ace up his sleeve. Naruto might have the last Uchiha, but he had the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. His was the better weapon. Eyebrow at that, and Sasuke gave him a familiar look. The blonde just smirked at him. We've talked about this, Sasuke. The blonde said, and it is a stupid decision. I've learned under you for 2 years. Are they so scared of me learning under you? He argued. Honestly, yes, they are. It isn't only about you but me as well. What I did a few months ago did not go over well with the higher-ups. Naruto explained. I would make you my apprentice if I could, but I can't. You'll just have to adapt as I thought you to. What are the first words I told you after our first spar? Adapt, overcome, execute. I remember the words and I will apply them. Sasuke said. Naruto scoffed amusingly and held out his fist. Sasuke smirked and bumped fist with his sensei. Watching from above, Naruko narrowed her eyes. She decided to follow Naruto, see what he was giving to Sasuke. The kunai looked cool. Of course, he would get him something cool. Naruto thought darkly. She turned away from the scene and vanished. It would be a week later when the new genin came back to be assigned teams. Sasuke was speaking Kiba while many of the kunoichi were giving Sasuke the yes. Naruko ignored everyone and kept her attention on the sky. Everyone else was talking while waiting for Iruka to enter. It didn't take long for him to arrive. Good morning. I would first like to congratulate you all and welcome you to Konohagakure's forces. I know you all will represent the village with your best. Now, we will be assigning teams to each of you. Each member of your squad will be like your family. Trust them to protect you and they will give you that same trust. Understood? Iruka asked. Hi sensei. The class yelled. Good. Now, here are your team assignments. Iruka began to list off the teams. As he continued, many of the kunoichi were either groaning at not being picked with Sasuke or praying that they would be on Sasuke's team. Iruka ignored this and kept going until he reached the 7th team. When he did, Iruka had to pause. He looked at the list and could not believe this to be true. 1 minute class, I'll be back. Iruka said and vanished, much to everyone's confusion. XX. Iruka reappeared in Kushina's office. He was surprised to see the Sandaime there as well as his boss. She did not look pleased. I know why you're here, Iruka, and I agree with you. However, this isn't up to me. Their sensei wanted this team. Kushina said with an edge. Ma'am, this team is doomed to fail. Iruka said. We understand, Iruka, but it is done. This will be Team 7. Now, go and make the announcement. Here is an ordered. Iruka nodded and vanished. He reappeared back to class and faced the group who were just as confused. With a sigh, Iruka continued. Team 7, under the leadership of Hitaki Kakashi, Haruno Sakura, Uchiha Sasuke, a loud scream of victory was heard in back. Everyone was chuckling or groaning while Kiba patted Sasuke's shoulder in pity. Iruka just sighed and continued. In Namikaze Naruko. The class went silent at that. Everyone was stunned and wondered what idiot made that decision. With annoyance while Sasuke kept his usual aloofness. Now, who would like to start? Let's just get this over with. I am Namikaze Naruko and that is all you are getting. Neither of you deserve to know anything else. She stated firmly. Good work, princess. How about you, medic? Why don't you go next? Kakashi said, ignoring Naruko's glare. Okay, my name is Haruno Sakura. She blushes while looking at Sasuke. My hobbies are, another blush with a giggle. My dreams are, she let out a girlish squeal. Oh, my Kami, Naruko muttered loudly. And I hate bullies, Sakura said, looking right at Naruko. Okay, on to our last one. Kakashi cut off before anything could be said. My name is Uchiha Sasuke. I don't have many likes or dislikes. As for hobbies, I have taken up meditation and bird watching. I have two goals in my life. One is to bring justice to my family and the second is to learn the truth. He said. Everyone had a reaction to that. So cool, Sakura thought with a blush. What truth is he talking about? Naruto thought with narrowed eyes. Well, that's something, Kakashi thought. Care to elaborate? No, Sasuke answered. Alright then, well, you all are interesting. So, I will explain what is going to happen. Normally, I would test you to see that you deserve to be genin. However, with Kushina Onisan, older sister, as your headmaster, the last few years, we have changed up how we do things. Kakashi said. What do you mean? Sakura asked. You are all already very talented. Sasuke, you were the rookie of the year. Naruto, top kunoichi, with Sakura and Hinata very close to taking that mantle. It is the opinion of many of the Jonin that you would have easily passed the old exam. So, a new way was implemented that has produced very good results. You're talking about the probation period? Sasuke asked. I see that Naruto has been talking. Kakashi said with an eye smile. For 1 month, you will be doing D-rank mission to see how well you are working together. I will be taking notes and based on how you do, you will become genin. And if we fail, Naruto demanded, then you'll be reassigned to a position that suits your skills. It would be a waste to send you back to the academy when we can help you grow. It has worked wonders for our village. Still, Konohagakure's strength has been our teamwork, which was why it was implemented into your studies. The D-rank missions will see if you can set aside your differences for the sake of teamwork. He explained. So, you put us together just to fail us? Naruto stated with an edge. That's for all of you to decide. I'll be very honest with all of you. I had to concede a lot to get you all as a team. I believe that you all have the chance to be this generation's Densetsu no Sannin. I truly believe that. However, you must believe like I do. So, what are you going to be? Kakashi asked. The three looked at each other but did not say anything. Kakashi looked at the group and sighed. He had a lot of work to do. Naruto was in his Konoha uniform with a few tweaks. Instead of a flak vest, he wore a flak jacket, orange in color. The sleeves were rolled up and the zipper down. A ninjutsu was strapped to his back and he wore 2 gauntlets on each forearm. He was waiting for someone at the gate so that he could get this mission over with. A familiar string of barks let him know they were here. He knelt as the 3 dogs ran up to him. Hey guys, how have you been? Naruto asked as he petted the triplets. He looked up to see their mistress walking up to him. She was wearing a pair of form-fitting shorts, a form-fitting variation of a Konoha flak jacket that was unzipped around her chest, a brace on her left wrist, bracelets on her right hand and bandages. The brothers rejoined her as she stood across from him. I can't believe you still have that jacket. Hana said. What can I say? I have excellent taste. Naruto boasted. Hana rolled her eyes before facing him. What's our mission, Naruto? You could have chosen someone else from the clan to help you track down your target. She said. That's why I chose you. I didn't need to explain everything. Don't worry, it isn't a hunting mission. We just need to track down Tsunade. He explained. We're tracking Tsunade? Seriously? Yeah, and we do not get along. So the quicker we get this over with, the better. Naruto said. Hana raised an eyebrow at that. That's not surprising. You just make people angry. Remember what happened with the Raikage? Hana asked with amusement. My Kami, you pull one stunt, and everyone judges you. Naruto said with a pout. He still has it out for you. He's just being petty. Anyway, Tsunade is supposed to report into the old man every 2 months. She's missed the last 2 check-ins and he wants to remind her of the consequences of ignoring him. That's a little harsh, don't you think? She asked. Trust me, it's well deserved. Senju Tsunade is an embarrassment of a shinobi and traitor to her oath. He said with a serious tone. Hana knew that tone and didn't push any further. Well, how do we start tracking her? Naruto pulled out a lock of blonde hair and held it up. Do I even want to know? Hana asked. I'll tell you about it on the way. Naruto said. He held the lock of hair to the triplets, and they got the scent. With that, the 2 shinobi and hounds took off to find their target. Kakashi enjoyed his reading time. It was his time to unwind. Seeing that this was his favorite series, he didn't like to be disturbed while he was reading. Today, it seemed like that wasn't in the cards. He tried to ignore the interloper but they decided to snatch his book from him. Now that's just rude, Kakashi said. Well, you need to pay attention to the conversation. Kurenai said. I was. You all think that I'm crazy for getting this team together. You're worrying over nothing, Kakashi spoke. That's not how the powers that be see it. Even Kushina was against this. You have 3 genin that strongly dislike each other. They have a month to prove that they can work together. They might not make it a week. Asuma explained. Kakashi sighed before snatching his book back. I understand what you two are saying, but I'm not an idiot. I can handle 3 genin and their issues. Just trust me on this. Kakashi said. The 2 jonin just sighed in annoyance but dropped the issue. Kakashi went back to reading his book, but in the back of his mind, he was thinking about his team. He hoped that he could back up what he was saying. It could only be disastrous if it didn't go his way.